It's round 5 of XCR'14, the road relays at Sandown Park. With over 300 teams entered, more than 1,000 runners take to the first road race of the winter. First up in this extended highlights package is the men's Premier Division. Going into the race, Box Hill topped the ladder with a big lead over nearest rival, the Geelong region. But it was Geelong who took the early lead, with Brenton Road clearing away on the first of his 2 laps. Next were Ballarat with Duayoa, Frankston's Josh Harris and Mark Kerwin of Melbourne Uni. Road change first to Julian Spence. Harris was next for Frankston, just ahead of Melbourne Uni. Then followed Glenn Huntley and Ballarat. Spence kept the lead for Geelong, but it was Ballarat's young gun, Jack Davies, who grabbed second place ahead of Craig Semple of Glenn Huntley and Tony Crawford for Frankston. Next up for Geelong was a hirsute Brady Threlfall. Davies brought Ballarat within 30 seconds of their regional rival, as Stuart McSwain then took over. Melbourne Uni were putting up a strong showing as Martin Mashford handed off to Zach Newman. Glenn Huntley were next, while ladder leaders Box Hill were straggling back in 5th place. At midway, Geelong's lead had stretched to almost a minute. Nick Whiteman, the new runner. Ballarat was still second as McSwain handed off to Jesse Fullerton. Melbourne Uni was still up at the pointy end of the race when Robert Baker started. Anthony Aloisio lifted the White Horses into 4th and only 30 seconds behind Ballarat. Whiteman kept the pace on to further extend the lead. He left nothing in the tank as he handed over to Riley Shaw. Fullerton kept Ballarat in 2nd for David Grigg, but it was a strong leg by Frankston's Matt Davey who moved the Bayside team up to a close 3rd. Box Hill were also closing in on the minor placings as Sam Dipnell handed over to Michael Dowell. Waiting for Riley Shaw was Geelong's trump card for the day, Craig Mottram. And Shaw gave Mottram more than 3.5 minutes lead over the next team, who was now Box Hill. Steve Kelly, the next runner, had a very big task ahead of him. Frankston was still 3rd, but surrounded by different teams. Back in 4th place, Melbourne Uni was still hanging in there. Mottram was untroubled as he whipped out the fastest split of the day for the men with 17 minutes 45 as he anchored Geelong region to another relay victory. Steve Kelly could make no ground on Mottram, but still managed to consolidate 2nd place for Box Hill. Sean Whipp brought Frankston home for the minor placing. Ballarat was next with Nick Van Rapost, while Paul Munro finished off an improving effort from the university team.
Yeah, just went out pretty hard and just had a good hit-out run. Thought it'd be a bit more competitive, but the other boys sort of didn't want to lead into the wind, and I managed to get a bit of a break early on and just maintained and built it up a little bit over the 2nd lap and set the rest of the team up for a good win from the front. So I think we had the lead the whole way and then finish off with Craig, and yeah, it's a pretty strong win in the end.
Bit of a mix of the old and the new in the Geelong team today, obviously with yourself and Craig, but there's some youngsters in there as well.
Yeah, Craig and I have been running, I guess, for Geelong for a fair while. There's a few other guys there that have been, but yeah, we've got a couple of new guys coming up, and when we can get everyone to run on the same day, we have a pretty good team, but it's just hard to get us all here on the same day, but today we managed, and yeah, it showed with the result.
Unfortunate Geelong didn't score at Lardner Park, but you are having a fairly good Premier Division season this year.
Yeah, it's hurt us a bit missing that one. Box Hill's got a pretty substantial lead on us, so it'll be pretty hard to claw that back. There's still a few races to go with Ballarat and the half marathon and 10 relays and Albert Park, so we've still got a few more races to get those points back. But yeah, I know we'll be missing a couple of guys at a couple of those events, so hopefully we can get back up near there though.
And here are the top 8 placings for the men's Premier Division. The women's Premier Division raced 5 legs of the 6.2 kilometre course. It was South Melbourne's Sinead Diver who led out, and with a time of 20 minutes 58 was the fastest split of the day for the women. After Diver changed over to Bronwyn Humphries, it was then Glenn Huntley's Amelia Asleniders on the cross to Cassie Hyam. Melbourne Uni's Sophie Barker was next to change, handing over to Amanda Paulin. Then Geelong, APS United and Box Hill. Midway through the second leg, Hyam had closed on Humphries. And changing into the third leg, Hyam had taken the lead for Stacey Bulger to go next. South Melbourne were next, just ahead of Melbourne Uni.
19-20.
At the halfway point, Glenn Huntley were gradually increasing their lead with Bulger. Claire Thomas was next for South Melbourne. And at the second last changeover, the first two teams were the same.
So 107.55, 56.7.
Sarah Lunn added more time to the lead for the Hunters.
12, 118.
Geelong's Gemma Kennedy was making inroads further back. Lund gave Corinna Fife a buffer of nearly 2 minutes over Geelong, who had now stormed into second place. Melbourne Uni were now third, with South Melbourne not far back. Corinna Fife went on to complete the win for Glenn Huntley as they continued their winter dominance.
Rain during your no, it was actually
Kelly O'Kane ran a strong last leg to bring Geelong home for the silver, while Deborah Nicol and her South Melbourne teammates enjoyed the bronze medal.
Yeah, the girls ran really fantastic today. A lot of us came off some 10 and half marathons last week at the Gold Coast, so we weren't sure how strong we were going to be, but we surprised ourselves and came away with the win.
Yeah, certainly Fife and Asleniders performed very well today. They were both off the half marathon last week, so that was a bit of an X factor, wasn't it?
They were both off the half and both off huge PBs, so they did extremely well. Only 2 seconds splitting their times today.
How's that looking for the rest of the year, do you think, for Glenn Huntley?
We're hoping to get Tarly Bird back once she's recovered from her fantastic marathon last week, and Julia Edwards will be back from her family holidays, so yeah, we're going to have a fantastic team come for the 10k and the 15 and then with the half and then finishing off with the 10.
And here are the top 8 placings for the Women's Premier Division. Hope you enjoyed this extended highlights package from Sandown Park. Keep watching ASVIC TV for more athletic action.